Hello, How to Paint with Acrylics cohort. I wanted to follow up this morning on a message from Trish Madden. Trish has shown us that she's stayed focused and kept working on her canvas, that a mistake occurred and it fell over and got a hole in it. So well done, Trish. Fantastic effort for staying with it despite the fact that there'd been this hole in your canvas, because that takes courage and commitment. So good on you. But also it provides an opportunity that we can all learn something from. Now, Trish's canvas has fallen down and there's a hole in the leaf. You'll be able to see in the Facebook post where you can see that. And I've mentioned in the previous post how she can just use paint and also the medium to just join the tear together. And because there's already movement in the leaf and changes, that it's possible to make that disappear just with the materials that we're already using. And so we wait to see what happens. And I thought it's really an important lesson to look at, because stuff will happen with our canvases, and it's good to know ways of approaching it and not just chucking it out or starting again, but maybe sometimes just continuing to work. I mentioned when Trish first showed us that I had once in putting on the wire behind a canvas, I had accidentally banged because I had a hammer and a screwdriver, and the screwdriver had gone through, because normally I put a chopping board in there. So it made me think that I should probably do a post on finishing off your canvases. So that would refer back to Heather's query about the varnishing, but also on the wires at the back and stuff like that. So if you want me to do that, to make a post, a little lesson about finishing your canvas, please leave a message below in this Facebook page. So it also led me to want to tell you a story though, related to this fixing stuff. So I was doing, you'll see in my work, I've done a couple of portrait series, and I had all these canvases made the same size, and a young man made them, and he made two of them the wrong size. And only once I'd painted on them did I go, it just seemed a bit different than the other ones. And so I had to take them back and say, oh, what do we do? And what it was we were going to have to unwrap. So, oops, that's upside down. So here's our current module for painting. Now, you've begun painting on the canvases, and I paint around the edges, and we've discussed you can either make it black but the fat edge or thick edge canvas was invented so that you didn't have to pay for framing, and you could just hang something on the wall, and it's a very contemporary look, and we focus just on the paintings. And in this case, this style of painting lends itself to that, to just be the focus without needing the mat and the frame. But you'll notice that as you do, let's say if you had to undo this canvas and take it off the stretcher is the wood, and lay it out flat, you probably find that there are thicker bits of paint on the edges. You know, when you get to the edge, you can flick off, or when you're folding the paint around, there could be some edges that are a little bit thicker. So in this instance, where I had already painted these portraits, the fabric had to be, the canvas undone from the stretcher and put out flat. We had maybe, another inch all the way around the sides that I had to extend, right? So I had some, because we could unwrap this, and because I painted around the edges, that meant that I already had another inch, right, that comes to here, and then I just had to flatten that another inch. And but there's the bump, there's the edge bump. So and we were coming to the time when you know, sort of the whole project time was of the essence. So I'm back to back painting day and night and contacting people and meeting them all around the country to paint these portrait series. So I just wanted to tell you the information that helped me do that at the time. And this very experienced framer, who the young man who'd gone astray with the measurements worked for, she just told me of a time where she had to do something like this for a big client, and she just put in her head, I'm like a forger. I've got to work day and night. I can do this. I've got the skills to do this, and I'm just going to work and make it happen and get it right. And so I was like, right, I'll do that. So what I had to do when this was unfolded was I had to get really fine sandpaper, and I had to sand that flat, but not so much that I would go into the fabric, right? Because I can't sand into that coarse texture and unravel the fabric. So I've got to get the paint off, and it was oil paint in this case. Well, not off, I've just got to get it smooth without damaging the fabric. So the finest sandpaper that I wrapped around a little matchbox to try and get that flat. But it was the interesting perspective and attitude of saying, right, I'm a forger. I can do this. I'm just going to sit here and keep working on it. And it was a big painting, so it was just hours and hours of work. And then I knew my colors, because I have my little templates, my sample colors, so I could go back to those and recreate and connect these lines and extend them on to make this edge and make it really smooth. He had already re-stretched the canvas onto the larger frame. It should have been on, but so I was trying to work first with it just flat and then with it stretched to not have that bump, to show that there would have been previously a different edge. So it just made me think of when stuff happens, and it will at different times, just adopt that I can do this. You know, not, oh my God, it's a disaster, I'll chuck it all out. But think, I know, I can be the master forger. I can do this. I'll just get some advice. So, you know, I got advice from a really expert, experienced framer who had instances of things like this happen before. And it was just a matter of put your mind to it and you can do it. So, you know, in Trisha's case, she's got a tear, and it's just worth the effort, isn't it? You've put all those hours into the painting of just seeing if you can get it to sit flat, maybe using tape behind to create something flat. And then on top, you're going to make this, the acrylic polymer, a plastic polymer surface to stick all of those little bits together again that have made a jagged tear. So Trish, be the forger and focus on getting these to go back together, but maybe the tape behind first will help. And also think about, I don't suppose you have to work with your work flat, but sometimes when I work on real detail work, it can be, I do work flat. So have a look at those methods and tell us how you go. Well done for being so focused, and we can all learn from each other's mistakes as much as triumphs. And the other final point I wanted to make is, isn't it lovely to see everybody's interpretations of the painting? So due to COVID, we've had quite a long gap for a lot of people on starting because they haven't been able to get their materials. And well done for hanging in there, because that must have been really frustrating. So we're seeing quite a few of these first module, but they're all so different. Even though we're using the same reference photo, people place it differently. We're using and mixing from exactly the same colours, but we're still coming up with variations in colours. So you can see that you do have a painting style. You are developing a style as you work, and what helps us see that and learn that and believe in that is the fact that other people share their work, and we can see the difference, the different ways people interpret the same reference with the same paints. And I hope that's helping you see that you are developing your own style, and stay with it and enjoy seeing these differences. So I know there's many people who don't feel confident to show their work in the group, but you can see how it really helps everybody to do that. So even sometimes if you just, photograph a tiny section, a tiny little bit that you like, and put that up, it's all helpful to everyone else in our learning journey. So thanks so much for being with me in How to Paint with Acrylics. I love seeing your work develop, and I will look forward to seeing it develop further. Cheers.